Hi there, welcome to my views and news. Two news stories. Firstly, it seems that Somalia's federal government, led by President Hassan Sheikh, has made a dangerous decision which will further worsen the ongoing confrontation between the federal government and a regional government over the deployment of Egyptian military and the expulsion of Ethiopian troops from Somalia. Secondly, around 2 weeks ago, Gita Choreda Tigray Interim President made some appointments to senior administrative positions in Tigray. Are these appointments being implemented? Has Getachew managed to implement his orders? I have received information from one area of Tigray where it is difficult for Getachew to implement his orders. There is no Getachew government there, it seems. Let's start from Somalia views, where federal government of Somalia, led by President Hassan Sheikh, Prime Minister Hamza Abdi Bare, is in dispute with the regional government of Southwest State over the deployment of Egyptian military and withdrawal of Ethiopian troops. Ethiopian troops in thousands are deployed in Southwest State. Southwest State President Abdi Aziz Laftagarin opposes the deployment of Egyptian troops and expulsion of Ethiopian troops. I think Laftagarin's term has expired. So the region will have to hold new elections. Federal government would like to remove Abdi Laftagarin. Federal government is backing opposition groups reportedly. Hamza Abdi Bare, the Prime Minister, visited Bedoa, the main city in Southwest State, a few days ago. He held talks with Laftagarin. He met with Somali elders too. He tried to convince them that they should agree to the expulsion of Ethiopian troops. They did not. No agreement could be reached. And then we heard that for a few hours, 2 days ago, flights from Mogadishu to Bedoa remained suspended. Now, a new issue is surfacing. It seems that federal government of Somalia is imposing a travel ban on members of parliament from Southwest State. Those Southwest State MPs who are part of the federal parliament, they've been put under travel restrictions. Those MPs, if you remember, who in some statements criticized Somalia's federal government for inviting Egyptian military and for expelling Ethiopian troops. Those MPs are being targeted. They're not being allowed to go from Mogadishu to Southwest State. One MP confirmed in an interview a few hours ago that she was not allowed to board a flight at Mogadishu airport. She wanted to go to her constituency in Southwest State. Sarido Muhammad Abdullah is the name of this female lawmaker, federal lawmaker, but she is from Southwest State. Today, in a talk, she confirmed that she went to Mogadishu airport to take a flight to Bedoa, the Southwest State regional capital, where there is an airport too. But security officials prevented her from boarding the flight. She had to return. Other MPs are making similar complaints too. I cannot help myself reminding, I cannot help comparing this situation in Somalia and what happened between TPLF and federal government in 2020. Here too, central government and regional government are at odds. This is what happened in Ethiopia. But hopefully things will be solved through dialogue, through negotiations in Somalia. Hamza Bare presided over an emergency meeting yesterday. The meeting had one point agenda, reportedly. It was about Southwest state, how to convince or force Laftagarin to agree to the deployment of Egyptian military and expulsion of Ethiopian troops. It's a challenge for the federal government. Federal government is making some decisions, dangerous decisions. Federal government cannot impose a travel ban on the movement of federal MPs. I don't think it's allowed. That is why Cerrido said that what happened is unconstitutional, that she was denied her constitutional right to move freely. A few days ago, if you remember, some pro-government MPs called for the revocation of the immunity of the MPs from Southwest state who are supportive of the presence of Ethiopian troops. So the federal government is making some big decisions. The decisions could further worsen the ongoing tension between the federal government and Southwest state. So far, Southwest state is still opposed to the withdrawal of Ethiopian troops and entry of Egyptian troops. Secondly, viewers, it was 2 weeks ago when Gita Choreda Tigray interim president made some appointments of administrators in Tigray. It seems that Getachew is not in a position to implement his orders. His government is paralyzed. His government does not have writ in entire Tigray. This is what I talked about days ago. I said that Getachew government will definitely be paralyzed. There'll be two parallel governments, and this is what happening. Getachew a few days ago appointed Tigray Ficado. Tigray Ficado was appointed as Northwest Zone Administrator. Northwest Zone is the stronghold of TPLF, the Debrecen Group, Shire, Axom, Adav, I think, are in Northwest Zone. Seat of this zone, I think, is Shire. Tigray Ficado was appointed in place of a man who is a member of TPLF, Debrecen Wing Central Committee. He was working as the chief administrator of this zone. Getachew fired him and appointed Tigray Ficado. 2 weeks have passed. Tigray Ficado could not assume charge in Northwest Zone. Order could not be implemented. Getachew made another appointment. He appointed a man in place of Leah Casa as Southeast Zone Administrator. There, Leah Casa was fired because an order was implemented. Why? Because Southeast Zone of Tigray is where Getachew Group has presence as well. So Getachew Group implemented the order there, Getachew government. But in Northwest Zone, the order could not be implemented. Tigray Ficado talked to the administrator working, told him to relinquish charge that he could take over, but he's not being allowed. Interim government officials in Makale contacted Northwest Zone officials, telling them that now Tigray Ficado is the new administrator, but no one is accepting Tigray Ficado as the new administrator. How long can the situation go on? It cannot go on forever, for long, I think. There must be some intervention. I mean, if there is no government, people will suffer. Governments are supposed to provide services to people. If governments are unable to provide services, it means there's no government. So now there are two parallel governments in Tigray. In the areas where TPLF Debrecen is strong, they have their own people in top positions. And where there is Getachew groups is strong, there Getachew people are in top positions. Someone will have to intervene to resolve these issues. Thanks for watching.